Hello, JMUG. How are we all doing? Are we a little bit more awake now? The coffee finally took hold and the carbs are kind of landing a little bit? Yeah, maybe not. Okay, I'm seeing a little blank stares. It's fine, it's fine. My name is Zach Halliwell. I'm a learning experience designer here at Jamf. You may recognize me from my fame in the Jamf 100 course or the Jamf Online Training Catalog. If not, that's okay. I'll only be mildly offended. It's fine. Up here today we have Haya from Secure Sky Technology and Mayu from Not a Hotel Inc. And we are talking about threat modeling, practical Mac security in the zero trust era. At the end of the session, we will have a Q&A. I'm going to be passing the microphone off to a couple of our translators in the middle of the room here. Translators, if you could just raise your hands for me real quick. So when you have a question and stuff during the Q&A, direct your questions towards them. They might be passing the mic off to you, or we might just have you just speak loud enough and they will reiterate your question out to our presenters. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it off to you two.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Haya. We come from Tokyo, Japan. Actually, this is my second time presentation at JNUG. I'm JNUG 2024, and I'm very excited to be back. Today, I'd like to talk about a threat analysis technique called threat modeling. So, everyone, do you know about threat modeling? If you know, please raise your hand. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let me start by reintroducing myself. Okay. My name is Yoshikazu Hayasaka, but you can call me Haya, aka the Threat Modeling Explorer. I'm currently an enterprise IT and security architect at Secure Sky Technology, Japanese security firm. Before the current position, I worked as corporate IT and corporate security engineer at Torico, an e-commerce company also based in Japan. I still with their IT and security on part-time consultant when needed. Today's session is based mostly on the experiences gained from my time at Torico. Also, her experiences are included in this session. So, Mayu, please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mayu Shirai, and I'm a corporate IT engineer for Not a Hotel in Japan. I'm also in charge of, I'm also in charge of the JMUG Jamf Academy user group in Japan. I'm also in, this is also my second time presenting at JMUG, and I'm so glad I got to come back.
JMUG 2023,
yes. Not a Hotel is a startup that enables people to call homes, designed by renowned architects and located in beautiful places around the world, and provide everyone with a richer and more fulfilling life. We have homes all over the country and are opening new ones all the time, all in gorgeous and desirable locations such as the above home in Ishigaki, Okinawa. I work with the internal IT management team handling all employee devices. And I'm also one of the organizers, the JMUG Japan group that was mentioned at the keynote session yesterday, where we have both domestic members and visitors from abroad, such as Sam Johnson, stop by to share tips and meet other Jamf users. We host events in the Jamf Japan office every 2 months, so if you are ever visiting Tokyo, please feel free to check our schedule and stop by to say hello. Our next meeting will be on October 23rd, where we will give a recap on JNUG and the new updates to come. Also, we bought stickers from JMUG. So if anyone would like some souvenirs, please see us at the end of the session or find me walk around. We would also love to exchange if anyone has stickers from other Jamf Nation user groups.
Thank you. I'm not an organizer. She is organizer, and orange guys is organizer.
Yes.
Okay. In this session, we'll start by reviewing the latest IT trends surrounding us. After that, I will explain the usefulness of threat modeling, as well as its basic concepts and workflows. Afterwards, instead of live demo, we'll do role-playing session using visual aids to apply threat modeling to simulated IT environment based on real-world case study. So, Mayu, can you explain first topic?
Okay. Sure. First, I'd like to explain why we should do threat modeling. But before we dive into threat modeling, let's quickly review some of the recent trends in the IT world. I will quickly go through the slides, so please read as we go. First is the increasing use of SaaS platforms and the impact of GenAI. Many companies have been actively integrating generative AI with their SaaS to make better use of internal information, but that also opens them to new threats. Next, communication environments have changed rapidly as companies build up remote work environments and continually adjust to changing hybrid work styles, often leaving openings for malicious attacks. These organizations are now highly specialized, which allows them to carry out cyber attacks more efficiently than ever. This has become ever more noticeable since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in early 2022, with a significant increase in cyber attacks linked to global events. With new potential entry points growing every day, the potential attacks surface IT engineers need to define is getting more and more difficult to manage. This makes it harder to find a one-size-fits-all approach that can effectively protect this changing environment, which brings us to today's topic. Now, I would like to quickly review the different approaches we can take when implementing security measures. First, there's the baseline approach. The baseline approach applies the same required controls to all systems. It improves overall security, but sometimes the measures are excessive or resources are not enough. On the other hand, the risk-based approach prioritizes the most effective measures based on the likelihood and impact of risks. It's not as broad as the baseline approach, but it helps focus on what matters most now. Threat modeling is classified as a risk-based approach, and within that, it's a specific approach that focuses on your most important systems and data, as well as the threats to them. This approach works efficiently in the current environment, where both the attack surface and threats are expanding.
Thank you, Mayu. Additionally, threat modeling is also a requirement of several frameworks, such as the CIS controls, etc. Okay, in this next part, I will explain the specific workflow of the threat modeling process. The WASP organization defines it like this. However, that definition is a bit too abstract. So let's walk through the actual process. The threat modeling process is largely made up of 4 key questions. Now, I'd like to look in depth at each question. The first question is, what are we working on? In this first step, we define the purpose and scope, then create diagram. Later in the presentation, we will share an example of what DFD can look like. In the next step, we will list potential threats and perform likelihood assessment. First, we brainstorming list of potential threats based on the diagram we create. At this stage, you don't need to consider how likely the threats are to occur. There are many popular methods. In the demo later in this session, we'll be using the last option, threat trend report, to perform our threat modeling. Once you are done with the list, it's time to perform likelihood assessment. Here are 3 things to be sure to consider. In other words, few threats and good security mean low likelihood. Many threats and no security mean high likelihood. In this step, we'll assess the risks based on the threats and our current situation. Then think about how to mitigate them. We assess risk as a combination of likelihood and impact. Impact refers to the financial damage, reputation harm, or negative effect on compliance an organization would face if threat materializes. So threat that is both likely to happen and has high impact is assessed as high risk. When we consider risk mitigation, we generally start with the highest risk items first. After that, we assess them based on points like these. Also, for risks that are acceptable to your organization, you don't need to consider mitigation. It's okay to make the decision accept the risk. As the final step, we look back the whole process and see how we did. Once you have finished the process, ask yourself these questions to be sure that you have done the analysis properly. This ends this round of threat modeling until the next time it is needed. Threat modeling shouldn't be one and done process. It's recommended to repeat this process whenever one of these events occur. In this part, we'd like to walk you through demo based on real-world case study. Before that, you can download summary we explained so far and the diagrams we will share during the session from my session page or this QR code. Okay, the demonstration will be role-playing session. I will be playing the role of new security officer who just joined this fictional organization. And I'll be having a conversation with Mayu, who is in charge of corporate IT. So we'll be doing threat modeling today to check our current security measures and to identify any remaining risks. I'd also like to consider any missing measures and come up with a plan to implement them. Now, Mayu, can you please tell me about our business and the areas that the corporate IT department is in charge of?
Sure. Here is what I manage this e-commerce businesses. The main areas we handle are managing the company marks, managing all our company-wide SaaS and their accounts, and maintaining our internal network. Okay. Here's what it looks like in an architecture diagram. You will notice that the e-commerce site is not listed. This is because it is run separately by the business department. Our scope is limited to the CRM used by the customer support desk for our e-commerce customers, and the maintenance of the on-premise file server that stores shipping information. The data for these is periodically synced by the e-commerce system. So our scope starts once we receive that data from the on-premise server. Also, we used to store all of our support desk data on the on-premise file server. But a few years ago, we introduced a CRM system for the customer service department and migrate most of the data. However, the shipping information remains on the file server because the logistics department, which doesn't have CRM accounts, also use it.
Thank you. Got it. By the way, it looks like you've introduced an IDP, but some logins still password-based?
Yeah, we have an IDP, but some services like the CRM don't support SSO, so we still use password-based logins. Also, the CRM has no further restrictions, so you can technically log in from private devices, but we prohibit it in our operational rules.
Thanks. Next. Okay, so now we have clearer picture of the systems under corporate IT's scope. Next, could you tell me about the most critical information assets within this scope? I'm talking about any data or systems that would impact our business if they were leaked or if the systems went down.
Yes, here's our most sensitive data. The data includes private information like names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, and purchase history. Because of this, we believe the impact on our organization would be high in the event of a leak.
Thanks. Okay, let's perform threat modeling with this objective and this scope. Okay, sorry. Now, let's go ahead and draw the diagram. This time making one that shows the data more clearly.
Okay, how about this? I tried my hand at drawing a data flow diagram just by imitating an example. I used rectangles with sharp corners for employees, rounded rectangles for terminals, services, and processes, and cylinders or document icons for data. The data flow is shown by arrows, and the boundaries are represented by dot lines.
Thanks. This is very clear. I can see the data flow between the devices and services we use. And I can also see that customer information is on the CRM and the on-premise file server. On the other hand, it seems like there isn't much critical information on the cloud storage or documentation tool, is there?
That's right. We have manuals and meeting minutes there, but no information as critical as the customer data is stored.
Okay, let's start listing threads.
Threats sounds so vague. Where should we even start?
That's a good question. To start, let's look at some reports from security organizations. Jamf, the company we use for MDM, also puts out threat trend reports.
Oh, I see. After reading it, I found 3 major trends: application risk and malware, vulnerability management, social engineering.
Were there any threats that seems relevant to our environment?
Yeah, for application risk and malware, for example, we could have threats like an employee installing an app with malware or having their password stolen by an info stealer. And for social engineering, we could have threats like being shoulder-surfed at a cafe or entering a password on a phishing site.
Thanks. So let's map these onto the diagram you draw earlier. Now it looks like a lot of the threats we found around the Mac devices are related to passwords. What about expanding the password leak perspective to the entire scope? In other words, are there any place you can think of where leak password could be misused?
Yes, we use a lot of different SaaS services, so a stolen password could be used to log into them. In the diagram, that would be the IDP, the CRM, and also Jamf Pro.
I see. Regarding CRM logins, there's no line from BYOD devices on the device. On the diagram. But technically, is it possible for an employee to log in from their personal device?
It's prohibited in our operational rules, but the system doesn't have any restrictions, so it's technically possible to log in.
Okay, then let's also map this on the diagram. Okay, let's go back a little. What about vulnerability management? Did any threats come to mind there?
Yeah, for market dates, we announce them to the whole company when they're released. And we also push them out forcibly from Jamf. Oh, but I've never heard of the VPN being patched. When we were forced to work remotely during COVID, we rushed to set it up. So it's likely that the management of it hasn't been handled properly since. The person in charge back then has already quit, so no one knows anything about it now.
Thanks. So that means there's possibility that the VPN has vulnerabilities that could allow for unauthorized access. I've mapped that on the diagram too. Now, so far, we've mostly picked up threats related to confidentiality, but we also need to think about threats like service outages. So if we add the other threats, it is what it would look like. Now, let's assess the likelihood of these threats. First, let's review the status of our current security measures. Based on our last conversation, we will upped the updated the diagram to reflect the status of the VPN. Moving on, let's check the security measures around the Macs. Mayu, what's the situation now?
Okay, as I mentioned before, all of our Mac devices are managed with Jamf Pro, and we force push security updates. On the other hand, we haven't implemented a product like a secure web gateway, and for convenience, we've given each user a local admin role on their Mac. This means users can freely install software on their own Macs.
Thanks. Moving on, what about the security measures around our SaaS services?
Right. First, we made MFA mandatory for SaaS services that log in through the IDP. This should make it difficult for an attacker to get in, even with a leaked password. However, the CRM only uses password authentication, so there's a risk that a third party could log in. Also, even through logging in from employee BYOD devices is prohibited by our operational rules, there are no system-level restrictions, so it's still possible to log in. On top of that, we don't have a unified password management system. They are managed individually.
I see. So when we add the other security measures, this is what it looks like. All right, move on. Let's assess the risks based on all the information we've gathered so far. First of all, impact. The biggest risk is risk of customer data in CRM or on-premise servers. Such leak could seriously affect our business, so we start our risk assessment with these threats. First, regarding the Macs, even though we've provided internal training, the likelihood of any of these things happening seems high. Moving on the SaaS services, it also seems like the likelihood is high for malicious third party to log into our CRM or Jamf Pro using leaked password. Finally, our VPN isn't being properly managed right now, and since attacks exploiting VPN vulnerabilities and so widespread at other companies, it's safe to say that the likelihood is high. Okay. I've also assessed the risks of the other threats based on their likelihood and impact. But I assume the three areas we talked about earlier are particularly high risk. So next, let's think about some risk mitigation measures for the three high-risk areas. First, let's talk about the risks related to malware. We are currently using Jamf Pro as our MDM, but are you aware of any features that could help us mitigate these risks?
Yeah. In our environment, we use Jamf Connect along with Jamf Pro. One Jamf Connect feature is the ability for users to request temporary admin privileges. Using this, I think we could prevent the installation of unintended applications or malware to some extent. Also, there's a product in the Jamf family called Jamf Protect. It works with Mac standard Gatekeeper and X Protect to detect malware, and when it does, it can connect with Jamf Pro to quarantine the device or push out additional policies. This product also has secure DNS and SWG features, which can block communication with phishing site and C2 servers. This may cause the company to switch plans with Jamf, but it's more affordable than implementing other third-party products separately, and it works very well with Jamf Pro.
Thanks. That sounds really good. Let's move forward with these proposed measures. Next, let's think about some mitigation measures for password-related risks. Ideally, we should move to authentication methods other than passwords, like SSO or passkeys. However, not all SaaS services support these methods. Also, migrating to SaaS that does support them is quite difficult right now. Because of this, I think implementing password manager for the entire organization is realistic measures. With this in place, we can easily auto-generate complex passwords so we don't have to remember them. Furthermore, it suggests the correct password for each domain, which makes it easier to spot phishing site. Also, there is cost. So budget adjustments will be necessary. Let's proactively consider implementing it. However, these measures alone won't prevent unauthorized logins using leaked password. The real day before yesterday, security firm reported phishers target password manager users. So Mayu, do you know of any solution to prevent this?
Yeah. First, while CRM doesn't support MFA, it doesn't allow for access restoration based on IP address. Jamf Connect has a feature called ZTNA, or Zero Trust Network Access, that can make the source IP address a unique global IP address assigned to our organization. By configuring the CRM to only allow access from this global IP address, we can limit access to just our Jamf managed Macs and block access from BYOD devices. By the way, Jamf Pro supports OIDC-based SSO. Up until now, we've just been using password authentication without thinking much about it. But I'd like to use this opportunity to migrate to SSO.
Thanks. Okay, lastly, let's talk about the VPN. Is there an option for us to decommission the VPN and the on-premise server?
I think so. We are already using cloud storage, so we could move the files from the on-premise server and decommission it. It takes some work to change, but we can cut maintenance costs. It seems we could manage it within our budget. Also, based on all the changes we've discussed, the architecture diagram should look something like this.
Thanks. That looks really good. Okay, with that, our discussion on risk mitigation measures is complete. Finally, let's do review.
Sounds good.
Today, we've conducted threat modeling session with corporate IT scope. Do you feel this discussion helped us solve our security issues?
Yes, I have been vaguely concerned for a while, but now that I can visualize the threats and understand the specific security risks, I can plan out the steps to improve our security more efficiently.
Good. This has also helped me understand corporate IT scope, system configuration, current measures, and challenges. Let's continue working together to improve our security. This concludes our demonstration. To wrap up, today we began with Jamf's threat trend report, focusing Mac threats. But as you saw, our discussion quickly expanded to SaaS services and VPNs accessed from those Macs. We couldn't dive into every detail, but we did cover threat listing, risk assessment, and mitigation planning across corporate IT. As mentioned earlier, our critical assets and entry points are now distributed across the internet, widening our attack surface while threats continue to rise. That's why security that stop at the device level, we needed custom organization-wide view that protect both systems and privacy. And to succeed, IT, security, and other stakeholders must all be involved. One practice way to guide those conversation is through threat modeling. So I hope you will give it a try in your own organization too. This concludes our session. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Mayu. Now, we will start our Q&A. In this Q&A part, my friends Grace and Tony will help us to translate English to Japanese. So let's start Q&A. Any question?
If anyone has a question, I'll come over to you with the mic and then translate what you would like to say. Or you can also find them afterwards. I'm going to hang out with them. So if you have any questions, you can just come up and I will be there so you can ask anything you would like. And please come and get stickers as well. We have a lot and we would like everyone to go home with one if you can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.